Hello, welcome, Engineer's Box. Now, today I've got a couple of really cool things to show you. I just wanted to go over a bunch of the possibilities with NBT data and a lot of the background files and things you can run with resource packs to actually have a really cool bunch of things to do. So, there's a couple of things I want to go over today. Namely things like dealing with specified NBT data, so things that use exact values to measure or naming data. Now, one of the really cool things that I stuck on Twitter, if you follow me, is there's a couple of tags that the furnace has, which are actually really cool and really useful. Now, one of these is actually the cook time total tag, which lets you change the actual time that you can that it takes to smelt an item. So if I grabbed, so by default, this value is 200 as a standard, 10 seconds, as 200 ticks per second, so 200 equals 10 seconds. So if we just get a bunch of cobblestone stuff here, I've got a bunch of things set up here. So 400, so that's 20 seconds, 100, it's 5 seconds, 50, it's 2.5 seconds, and then 10, which is like half a second. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So let's start out by doing the default one, which is, you know, everyone's used to this, waiting for ages, waiting for the bloody thing to smelt, which is not always the best thing, but as you can see, it goes through, you're taking some time. But yeah, that's 20 seconds, that one. 10 seconds, I mean. So, if we increase this to 400, and we summon this armor stand in so that it can actually reference this block, and we stick one of these in, you can see that it actually goes a hell of a lot slower now, which is nowhere near as fun. Let's take that out, and let's bring it down to 100. So if we stick this in, you bring it down to about 100. See, it's a hell of a lot faster now. So much nicer. Now, the great thing about this is, like, it's really useful for me, especially with the IC2 mod pack, command mod pack, which I'm working on. This one's 50. Because that means that I can create different speeds based on what you what upgrades you apply to things. So you can see this one's a hell of a lot faster now. And also it's great for not only those, but also the differences based on whether it's an advanced machine or different tiers of things. Now this one's 10, which is extremely fast. It's like having max overclocker upgrades. Look at that thing, just burning through them. But yeah, so this is just one of a lot of different things you can actually find with the furnace. There are a lot of other NBT tags which you can work out to do with burn times, so how long something will burn for. You can adjust that. You can adjust a singular amount of time that something will cook for based off burn time. The range of possibilities is just absolutely awesome. So that's just one thing. There's a couple other things which I want to do. So there's one of the most popular ways to rename items is to say I wanted to rename a I don't know, a diamond sword to, I don't know, we'll call it data, because why not? You'd put display and then with your brackets and then name and data. So now it'll give us a sword with the name data. But the thing about this is that you can achieve that by doing it by putting it through an anvil and just naming it data as well. So if you want unique items that are not just named, you can actually use a different tag. Instead of using the name tag, you use the lock name tag, which I believe stands for local name. So it's not an overall name. So you can see the change in italics. So this one is italicized and this one isn't. And that's how you know if it's got a LOC name or not. So, and that way you can you can't rename things in an anvil and just get them. So, a really good example of this is if I grab an anvil really quickly, and I just pop this one down here. What I use for my one of the items that I use for the mod pack is Dragon's Breath for the batteries. So if I rename this to RE battery, you can see that it's italicized, but it doesn't change the texture. But if I do give at P dragon breath 10, and then I changed the display name to be a local display, so a local name, and give that to RE battery. Then you can see it actually changes the texture. Now the great thing about this is it actually uses a JSON file, which is really cool. Some dot properties and some JSON magic, which is actually really cool. And I'll get to that in a couple of seconds. There's a couple more things I want to show you here. So let's jump over into some of the files that I have for the resource pack, and let's check out some of the things that I use for in there, which should be pretty cool. So I'll catch you guys in a second. Okay, so now you can see we've backed out of Minecraft. We're in the resource packs folder, and I want to bring you over here just to show you how I actually change all the textures based off names and some of the cool NBT data structuring and things you can do inside of it. So if we go into the Minecraft, this is the texture pack that I use, the one that I'm currently using for all of the models and textures and stuff for the IC2 mod. It contains a couple of other things in there, but the one that I've actually got on my website's a clean version. It's got all of the original stuff in here. But anyway, if we go into here, we go into Minecraft, you can see there's a folder called MC Patcher. And this is actually what I use to change all of the textures and models and things based off names and other kind of describing factors. So if we go in here, there's a couple of things in here that are interesting. So CIT and CTM. CIT is what you call custom item textures, and this is where I store all of the data for changing items. And CTM, I'll get to that in a minute. So if we go into CIT, you can see there's a bunch of folders here, and it's just how I categorized all of the things so far that I've added in the IC2 Command Mod Pack. So let's take a look at, I don't know, one of the power, and we'll go into the batteries. So if we bring up the RE battery, we'll bring up the empty one for the moment, and we have a look at this. And you can see there's a couple of interesting things here. Now, first of all, I want to point out that the way it reads these files is that it has to be in sequential. So whatever functions it does after it has to be based off the previous one. So if you want to go looking for an item, then you have to define what you're looking for before you go looking for it. So in this case, we're looking for a specific type of thing, and it's an item, and we're looking for an item called Dragon Breath, Minecraft Dragon Breath. Now, as you know, that was what I used to retexture for the RE batteries. And now that it's found this, we've got a texture underneath which we want to pre-allocate so that it knows what to look for. So the texture we'll be using is RE battery empty. So if we go back into the folder and we go to RE battery empty, you can see that that's the texture there. So it's already pre-made and stored in the folder next to it. So if we go back into the code, you can see that this line here, nbt.display.loc name, that is what describes the NBT data that I was adding to the item before. So whenever a Dragon Breath has an LOC, a local name of, or at least I think it's a local name of RE battery, then it will add that texture as a replacement for the original. Now the way that we do this is we categorize it through NBT, so it's looking for data that pertains to an item, and then display, so we know that we're looking for something that is to do with either visual or naming terms, so something that will appear to the user. And then LOC name is just the specific, so we're looking for the name. Now if we come along here, so iPattern, basically this is what you use for to find a specific name, iPattern, and then afterwards the name that you want it. So here we've got iPattern and the colon RE battery. So whenever it's renamed to RE battery, a loc name is renamed as RE battery, then you'll know that it will pick this texture and replace the original one with that. So that's something pretty cool and interesting with it. So I'll just bring you back to the MC Patcher folder at the moment, and we'll go back to the other one called CTM, which actually stands for Custom Texture Mod. Now this is pretty much the easiest way I can think of overlaying other textures to blocks, to give them random textures and things like that. It's really useful, and it can help a hell of a lot if you're making something that requires randomized textures and things like that. This is a really great way to do it. Another way to do it is also going into the actual data file for the block and going to the textures and just adding a bunch more textures. So then it'll actually just pick from those. That's pretty much that's another way you can do it. But the CTM, the interesting thing about this is you can actually have a bunch of different methods that you can do. And the main one, well, which I use, is overlay. Now, if we go into grass overlay, I actually didn't create this grass overlay set of files. It's from another resource pack, but I thought I might show you this anyway. It's really interesting. So if we go into the grass overlay properties file, you can see that it's a bit different to the RE battery one that we had before with a lot of NBT structuring and things like that. Now, first off, you notice that we're not actually going for items anymore. We're going for blocks, and the way you deal with blocks and layering is different to items. So items, you actually have to define them and then specify textures and routes and things like that. But overlays with blocks are a little bit different. So what we've got is match blocks. So it's finding the blocks with these values, 24, 17, 12, and 13. And then the method, so what it's going to be doing to the block. So overlaying in this case, so it's going to be adding a texture over the top of the pre-existing one. So if we have a look, tiles 0 to 16, it's just a defining part. So, and then we have connect block. So this means that if there's another block next to it and it actually does connect with it, then it will add this additional texture to kind of give it an extra layer. So in this case, a grass overlay. So say you have sand and grass next to each other. The sand will have a little bit of an overlay over the top of it so that it kind of melds with the grass a bit more next to it. So then if we move on to the connect tiles here, grass top. So the tiles is basically, Minecraft uses the term tiles as a surface texturing kind of definition. So in this case, connect tiles. So it's connecting both of the surfaces together in a way and adding a grass top to it, but it uses a specific type of overlay for this grass for the top. So, and then we use the tint index, so that just defines what tints we're going to be using over the top of it, and in this case the tint block. So if we go back into the overlay folder and we go to number 2, you can see that it's got these, we can go these little strange little icons and things like that. So one will have one that's facing down. So there's a whole bunch of different ones, all of them facing different directions, all of different combinations like that. And basically that's what it does, is it checks for those directions, and then based off it, it adds them to there. So yeah, this is something that's really cool, and it's starting to actually come up again recently. It kind of died off a little bit, but then it's starting to come back as a really interesting way of doing it. And considering that Minecraft, the next update with 1.13 is going to have a lot more functionality in terms of back-end things, this could probably actually become one of the main ways to be able to retexture blocks without actually having to change the texture itself, adding new textures, so which will be really, really cool and so much easier for map makers and things like that. So that's pretty much it. I hope you found this interesting. I thought it was kind of cool seeing that there was a couple of little interesting ways maybe you guys can use if you're making your own maps or other things like that. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the nearest of futures.